15 minutes ago, my wife and I put our son to bed. Everett is his name. He is 2 years old. And it is true what they say, terrible twos exist and they are exhausting. I want to put a Apple AirTag on this kid just to see how many steps he takes throughout the course of a day. But around 7:30, that's when we tuck him in. We read him some books, say our prayers, and then fight with him to stay in bed for approximately an hour. But after that hour, he finally tires out enough to stay in bed and not come running after us. My wife and I typically go into the bedroom, we lay down, and that's when we kind of decompress and talk about our day. We talk about our successes, our failures, our stresses, the things that keep us up. And lately, the conversation that we've been having, the thing that keeps us up, definitely keeps me up, is the subject of the podcast that we're going to talk about today. Because I don't know what the world is going to look like for Everett when he's my age. I don't know what the world will look like when he's trying to become a productive, healthy, happy, and a real joyous light in the world that he can influence for the better. I'm not sure if it's going to actually allow for him to do that, or if it's going to completely stifle and kill and try to destroy all the creativity, the love, the passion, and the determination that I know that this kid has, because he exhausts me every day. I know he has that. But as I was trying to figure out how I wanted to talk about this number one issue, this thing that I believe is going to be the inflection point for Western civilization, I thought about a book that I'd actually reread in the NICU when Everett was born early, prematurely at 28 weeks. And I was sitting on a cot trying to kill time as I was listening to beeps and buzzes from the monitors that he was hooked up to. And it's 1984 by George Orwell. If you haven't read it, you should. But we're going to start off this entire episode with an excerpt from that book, which perfectly encapsulates what I'm most terrified of, the thing that keeps me up. It's having this book, the pages in this fiction, be a reality forever. Let's skip to page 3. It's third page. That's when they start talking about this thing. The television received and transmitted simultaneously. Any sound that Winston made above the level of a very low whisper would be picked up by it. Moreover, so long as he remained within the field of vision which the metal plaque commanded, he could be seen as well as heard. There was, of course, no way of knowing whether you were being watched at any given moment, how often, or on what system. The thought police plugged in on any individual wire was a guesswork, and it was conceivable that they watched everybody all the time. So if you don't know the plot of 1984, Winston is the main character, and this is a dystopian future where the big brother government, a nanny state, a surveillance state, is not only monitoring the thoughts and narratives of society, but trying to convince the entire population that what they say is truth, that objective truth does not exist, and there's a compulsory element to you having to feed into those false narratives. And at the end, that same government mandates that Winston say that 2 + 2 = 5. The note that I left for Everett in the NICU on page 1 here, it says to Everett, no matter what, stay courageous and bold enough to tell them 2 + 2 never = 5. Yeah. I think this is the perfect way that we're going to be opening up this discussion today, because it's not just flock cameras that I'm concerned about. In fact, that's a very low level threat as it currently stands right now. But it is the eventual culmination of a surveillance state that never allows you any privacy, any individuality of thought, any belief that's held contrary to the masses and the narratives that are being pushed on you by politicians, the media, government, our institutions that none of us trust anymore. All of those that we're experiencing today through a phone, well, that phone's going to be watching us back. It's going to be able to turn off our ATM account or our credit cards if we decide that we don't want to comply with what it is that they're telling us to do. They're going to monitor our movements and see whether or not we're engaging in wrong speak or actually abiding by the things that they're telling us we must comply with, like 2 plus 2 equals 5. If we don't, there's going to be ramifications. There will be penalties and punishments for having had any individuality of thought in the future. And we're seeing this today. You have China with over 50 different technology companies that are conducting their own little form of surveillance. All of these companies are patchwork and integrated. You have one company that's working on, uh, biometric security and facial recognition to see if you're acting in accordance with the CCP's mandated structure. You have another for vehicles and whether or not you're abiding by the laws of the road or even waving and being polite enough. I kid you not. And the social credit score that each and every one of the individuals in China receives is based off of this integrated network of technology, always evolving and always improving. And that's starting here in America. In fact, it's been here for quite some time. It just seems as if we're all waking up to the fact that, hey, that camera on the side of the road there, why does it seem like it's always watching me? And why do I feel like I'm constantly being recorded and then pitched things through my phone via my algorithms right after I'm done talking about it? The very phone that I'm talking into right now, as I address you, is listening. There are people and malevolent forces that can use whatever's in that phone against me and you. All of us are susceptible to having our privacy destroyed and our thoughts policed. Now, let's talk about Flock and why Flock is just the beginning. It's just the inception of this large nanny state that China is currently experiencing. Well, Flock on their website will tell you that they do not use biometric security data. They do not use facial recognition features. And it's a half truth. They are correct. It just so happens that their subsidiary group, they are the ones doing the biometric security. They are the ones that are watching you and your movements and your patterns and whether or not you're driving somewhere that you otherwise wouldn't. If it's not just to work and back or to the grocery store or in the future to the bread lines that they want you to be standing in, they're going to note that. And they're going to say, hey, that might be wrong think. That might be an action or a convulsion that we need to shut down. And that's what I'm most concerned about forever. That's what I'm most concerned about for our generation and Gen Z and the Alpha generation, which comes directly after us. And while Fox News and CNN both seem to have a proclivity to push for the data centers and push for the safety that's supposed through these integrated security systems and biometric technologies that are constantly tracking all of us, it is up to every single American, regardless of political party affiliation, to shut that shit down today. Because it is the one thing that brings us together. Left and right don't agree on anything anymore. We can't even have a discussion and arrive at the same truth that two genders exist or that the sky is blue. It seems as if every day we're finding new ways to disagree with each other over things that everybody saw as common knowledge just 5 years ago. The number one thing that is driving us together right now is that a globalist and very pervasive, intrusive, and surveilling Big Brother state is not in our best interest. And why is that connecting us? Why is it that red or blue, there seems to be something in us that drives us towards that opinion? I think that is the culmination of the exact founding document that we've pledged to for 250 years. The Bill of Rights, the reason why we can have freedom of speech, and we don't have government intrusion over our freedoms, but rather a government that is mandated to protect freedoms that our Creator endowed us with. And this is the number one threat to that, by and far. Flock is showing up everywhere around the nation. Over 30 million different people are assessed and identified every single day via their network. And their subsidiary group, which is actively lobbying politicians in Congress and politicians here in the States to expand and broaden their authority to use more and more intrusive forms of tracking, of surveillance. I can show you. Let's take a look right now. Let's take a look at the websites. I did some clipping of their sites earlier when I was doing some research. They say out loud that they are working to create a safer community via increased surveillance that looks like you never having a single moment of privacy. Your car will hear every word that you say within it. Your phone will alert authorities if it thinks that you're saying something that's a little bit too terroristic or dangerous. If you're yelling because you're in a fight with your spouse or your girlfriend or your boyfriend, it's going to hear that and it's going to send that to local authorities and flag it for a potential for a domestic abuse situation. This is a complete breach of our Fourth Amendment rights. And if we don't unify right now to stop it, it will mandate that we stop talking about it. When we have a social credit score that's tied towards acceptance of this system, we won't be able to fix it by then. In the year 2026, we are fighting 1984. In the big beautiful bill that Donald Trump passed not too long ago, there was a 10-year moratorium on any AI data legislation. And now we're being forced to comply with that. We're being forced to not address the problem. But as Gen Free, we need to go out and mandate that our politicians listen to us, whether on the left or the right on this issue, and get this right, because there's no going back. Reach out to your politicians today. I don't care if it's a congressman or a woman. I don't care if it's a state legislator or even a city council, because they can impact this legislation too. These discussions, debates, and dialogues are occurring all across the nation every day right now. Small towns in Alabama, all the way to Michigan, Minnesota, Massachusetts, are having very thoughtful and passionate debates as to whether or not this is an intrinsic good for society. I believe it's not. I think you probably believe it's not too. And those who would say that this is conspiratorial and in any way, shape, or form just needs to Google flock tracking goes bad. And they will see a litany of stories, one after another, that demonstrates that this will be the end of Western civilization. So call them today. Google it. Who's my state representative? Who's my state senator? Who's my congressman? Call them and leave them a voicemail, because the only thing that they care about, it isn't how your life's going. It's not whether or not you can afford everyday life or, actually serving you for the public good, but they care about your opinion, because your opinion is a vote, and a vote is their reelection. When you put that in jeopardy, when you put that in peril, that's when they start to move. That is the only time that politicians will ever change or actually get passionate about something that they would have shrugged off if you hadn't called. Flood their emails, flood their voicemails, and let's get this generation truly gen-free. Thanks so much.
Easily toggle between camera views to keep eyes on the situation and give your officers the intel they need to make smarter, safer decisions. From the camera straight to the cloud, the hardware comes with a modern design video management software system, and we offer proactive camera monitoring and service. We provide two unique form factors, the PTZ and the Bullet. Both provide cellular backhaul, 25x optical zoom, high-quality nighttime imagery, and edge storage. Flock safety. Let's shape a safer future together.